Alright, so this is a recipe I've actually made before, and as much as I liked it the first time, I've been working on improving it. This is Lumanda Pasta. So I bought this huge portion of Lumanda in town at 5 kwacha. It's usually half this much at the same price in my area. I plucked the leaves off the stems, which have these tiny thorns, but they are really nothing to worry about. After plucking the Lumanda, I added 1.5 cups of water to a medium-sized pot and crushed in 1 chicken stock cube. As the water came to a boil, the stock cube started to dissolve. After the cube dissolved, I added a tablespoon of bicarbonate of soda, gave it a stir, then added in the Lumanda. I ended up leaving out about a handful because it turned out to be a little more than I needed. I mixed the Lumanda in and it immediately changed to a darker green color. I continued to stir it around as it boiled and occasionally smashed the Lumanda leaves with my cooking stick. The Lumanda was bubbling away nicely, and after 15 minutes, I decided to add the pounded groundnuts. I added in about 3/4 of a cup of groundnuts. For me, this is usually the tricky part, aside from the soda levels, of course. I had diced 3 medium-sized tomatoes earlier, of which I added half to the Lumanda. I then added in 1 minced garlic clove, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and just a little more than half a teaspoon of soda, and began to stir. I actually discovered this recipe when one day I came home starving and all I had in the fridge was leftover spaghetti, sashilad Lumanda, and chicken gravy. I decided to mix it all, and guess what? The concoction worked. So 20 minutes after adding in the groundnuts, I added in the tomatoes that I left and 1 diced onion. The reason why I added some tomatoes towards the end is the initial tomatoes kind of disappear in the Lumanda, and these latter ones provide an amazing chunky texture, and the onions work best when they're not too cooked. 10 minutes after adding the tomatoes and onions, the Lumanda was ready. Next, I cooked up some spaghetti and drained out the water. I didn't rinse out the pasta because I wanted some of the water cleaning onto the pasta to mix in with the Lumanda for an even more pasta flavor. I then put the pasta in a dish and tossed in 2 huge scoops of the Lumanda. I mixed it nice and proper, making sure all the pasta was coated with the Lumanda. I was really happy with the way the Lumanda was firmly clinging onto the pasta, which meant the Lumanda texture was just right. I then tried to design the pasta in a swirl so it could look all fancy on a plate. It didn't really work out perfectly, but I tried. I then wiped my plate down and garnished with a leaf of parsley. I couldn't have been happier with the results. The chicken stock and the garlic made all the difference. It was such a huge improvement from the first time that I made it. Please, I'm begging you, make this.